Another follower sent me a message asking me if I could do a video on dealing with people who always have to be right. She has a friend that will just argue until she finally gives in and says, okay, that's right, and agrees with her. She said, it's frustrating. And of course, it's frustrating because that's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to be with somebody who takes every single subject, every single situation, and just beats it down until you finally go, we used to say, Uncle, I give up, I give up. You're right, you're right. It's not an enjoyable conversation. So why? Why are people like that? Well, for some, it's a personality. Of the temperaments, the choleric is the personality that just is pretty sure of themselves and feels like they're right. And they're pretty black and white, and they feel very strongly about things. And they have a tendency to push themselves. And if in their strength of their feeling confident and like they know what's right, the weakness on that side of it is that they're going to kind of push that opinion on other people unless they have learned to temper themselves and recognize that that makes their personality strength a weakness. So it can come from personality. It can come from personality disorders or personality traits like narcissism, who only sees their own viewpoints, does not make room for anyone else to be different and for anyone else to be disagree with them, doesn't even see other people as separate entities, actually. It can come from dysfunctional families who are very rigid and enmeshed, and everyone has to be in agreement. No one can disagree. Nobody can step out and be their own selves. And if you disagree, then you are shamed. And some of that shaming can come in the form of just having to force you to give up and say, I'm wrong, you're right. And, it could also come from people who, as children, have been forced to say that the other person is right and give in. And then finally, they're just screaming to say, that's it, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm that insecurity and that feeling uncomfortable as a child can turn into that trait as an adult, where it's that there's not room for anyone else. Like I'm going to push myself on other people. And so though that a lot of that has to do with having very rigid boundaries where you have to be right and you don't open yourself up to other people's opinions. You don't open yourself up personally to other viewpoints. So you are just going to be absolutely rigid and one-sided and one view, and that's it. So how do you handle people like that? Whether it's your friend, like this woman, or if it's your spouse, or if it's your child, or if it's an in-law, or a neighbor, or whoever it is. Maybe it's your boss. When you are dealing with somebody like that, you have options, and you get to decide which option works best for you based on the person, your relationship with them, circumstances. It could be even how you're feeling that day. And it could be dependent on the subject. Maybe there's some subjects you want to debate and you want to stand up for your viewpoints. And there's going to be a whole lot of them that it is not worth it. So your first choice is to say something, to try to have that one-sided discussion with that person where no matter what you say, remember, you do this knowing what you're getting yourself into. You know the person is not going to consider your viewpoint. The person is going to push to be right. So you're kind of wasting your energy. That's how when I look at it, and I think if somebody doesn't care what I'm saying and isn't going to listen or at least open viewpoint, I consider that wasted time and wasted energy. But we can always choose, if we want to get into that and try, or for whatever reason, say what we need to say, stand up for yourself. The next one is you can back out gracefully by saying something like, we're going to disagree on this. Let's just choose to disagree, agree to disagree. Or, I don't want to argue with you. Or I just don't want to go there. I don't want to talk about that. So that's graciously, kind of gracefully getting out of the conversation. You can change the subject. Hey, did you see the weather this week? It's going to be raining the entire week. So you knowing that subject, or if you bring something up and you say something and that person comes back kind of forcefully or aggressively in an argument, that's when you could say something like, what, we're going to disagree, so let's just let it go. If you can also detach when it's starting to get into an argument, you can, kind of pull out of that, and then you can say to yourself, not taking this personally. I know who this person is. This person always has to be right. This is not about me. I don't have to get into this. I don't have to argue. I'm not going to do it. So you can just detach, let the person ramble on if you want to, change the subject. You can walk away, you can leave the conversation. If you're on the phone, you can get off the phone. There are all kinds of things that you can do without confronting the person to just get out of the conversation. Now, if you're with this person and let's say you've gone out to lunch, or you're kind of captive for that time and you don't want to make a big scene leaving, then that's the time where you can change the subject or just say, I don't want to go there. Let's talk about something else. And the other thing you can do is you can set boundaries. You can tell the person, I don't I like you and I like hanging out with you, or I like being around you, or I love you, or you're my mom, or you're my dad, but I'm tired of doing this arguing thing. I don't like it that no matter what I say, you argue with me until I give in and say you're right. Like, I don't enjoy that. That is not something I like to do when I'm with you. And I know you like it. You like to argue, and that's okay, but I don't. So can we just please stop doing that? Please stop arguing about things, or let's avoid these topics that always tend to be something that we disagree on. See if you can come to an agreement where it makes the time with this person more enjoyable. Then your last alternative is to make a choice to not be in a relationship with this person, or to spend as little time as possible with them. And that is probably the last option, unless it's really somebody that you don't value. It's a casual friend, or obviously if you just started dating this person and you notice this is a big red flag that this isn't going to be a real comfortable relationship for you unless you love to argue. So you can, not go out with the person again. So those are your options. And the last one is you recognize you are not changing this person. This is a really deep personality issue, relationship style. You are not going to be the one that's going to convince this person that need to stop doing this. So don't go that route, because that's also going to be a waste of time. So there's two scriptures that I always think of. I think of this, and the main one is Proverbs 18:2. A fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinions. And that's what that person is doing when they're arguing. They're just shoving their own opinion. They're not learning from you. They're not open to your viewpoint. It's not a discussion. It's absolutely only that person just pushing their own opinion as strongly as they possibly can. And then the next one is Proverbs 15:18, and it says, a hot-tempered man stirs up dissension, but a patient man calms a quarrel. So you can be the one who calms the quarrel by peacefully detaching, by ending the argument, by changing the subject, by setting boundaries, by all of those things. So I hope you enjoyed this video. found it helpful. And like to remind you to go to my website, look at all my resources, and my Change My Relationship, 365 Daily Devotions for Christians in Difficult Relationships, has all kinds of devotions that give you bits of advice, tools, and wisdom in navigating relationships with difficult people. So I hope you'll check it out. Thank you.